So, Elio, look, I appreciate it's proper lame talking about a Pixar movie, but this is a peek behind the curtain of Disney as an entity. So it's worth talking about when they command such control over what your kids watch, and sort of what they're interested in, and not only that, the teens as well with their other movies that they release. They're the biggest movie studio. It seems dumb not to talk about stuff like this, even though it's catered. This particular movie was catered for children. Again, it's a peek behind the curtain, and this will be rife across all of their films, I'm sure, and across all of their studios. So, Elio is the lowest opening Pixar movie of all time. It's a huge failure, but it could have been even worse. And it's just baffling. It's absolutely insane. So Hollywood Reporter has this great piece, and it says, inside Elio's catastrophic path, America Ferrera's exit, director change, and erasure of queer themes. I know, what a headline. What a headline.
Yeah, the erasure of queer themes. Yeah, that's definitely what did this in.
No. It is actually in part, but we'll get to it. So creatives at Pixar who saw the original director's previous cut of Elio tell THR about the movie's challenging production process. Elio just became about totally nothing. So that is linked to them removing the gayness. But they shouldn't have had it in the first place. That's kind of the point, I guess. So those who worked at Pixar while its latest film release, Elio, was in production, were delighted by footage they saw roughly 2 years ago. Among the moments cited as favourites by those at the animation studio at the time included a sequence in which the titular boy collected trash on the beach and turned it into homemade apparel that included a pink tank top. The movie's team would refer to Elio showing this off to a hermit crab as his trashy on show. Whatever that means, but okay. But if you bought a ticket to Elio and don't remember seeing this, it's not just that you chose the wrong time to refill your soda. According to multiple insiders who spoke to The Hollywood Reporter, Elio was initially portrayed as a queer-coded character. It's a child's film, remember? Reflecting original director Adrian Molina's identity as an openly gay filmmaker. Oh, right, okay. So he was just self-insert as a boy or something. Like some weird groomer shit going on. Other sources say that Molina did not intend the film to be a coming-out story, as the character is 11. Not sounding that way, though, is it? But either way, this characterization gradually faded away throughout the production process as Elio became more masculine, following feedback from leadership. Gone were not only such direct examples of his passion for environmentalism and fashion, but also a scene in Elio's bedroom with pictures suggesting a male crush. This is an 11-year-old, remember? 11-year-old. Hints at the trash fashion remain in the released film, with the boy wearing a cape decorated with discarded cutlery and soda can tabs, although without any explanation for the unusual attire. Elio's turbulent ride began well before its calamitous nosedive at the box office. During the June 2022 corridor. Indeed, the summer of 2023 became a fateful one for the animated film about a lonely boy beamed into outer space by an intergalactic organization after being misidentified as the leader of Earth. The writer was first on the wall, or the writing, sorry, was first on the wall for the troubled production when the film from Molina, known as the co-director of Pixar's blah blah blah, conducted an early test screening in Arizona. So this movie did a test screening. Viewers expressed how much they enjoyed the movie. However, they were also asked how many of them would see it in a theatre and pay to see it in a theatre. That's the important part. They were asked if they would pay. Not a single hand went up. So they're like, yeah, it was all right. Would you pay? No. According to a source with knowledge of the event. This sounded alarm bells for the studio brass. It was around this time that Molina screened his latest cut of the film to Pixar leadership. There are differing accounts of the exact feedback that the director received from Pixar boss Pete Docter when the lights went up, with rumors circulating in some of the studio circles that Molina was hurt by the conversation. Yeah, well, he sounds a bit like a fanny, so yeah, it's to be expected then. The part that is clear is that Molina exited the project soon after, and much of Elio was reworked under new directors Madeline Charathian and Demi Shi. And then also, what else happened was this America Ferrera exited as well. She just binned herself off from the show. It was like, "No, I'm done. See you later. I'm gone." So I was deeply saddened and aggrieved by the changes that were made, says former Pixar assistant editor Sarah Ligatich, who provided feedback during Elio production as a member of the company's internal LGBTQ group Pix Pride. Why does a children's animation studio have a company's internal LGBTQ group? Why? What the fuck is that?
Because
although she praises, go on.
I was just gonna say because of a word that rhymes with rooming.
Yeah, massively. So she praises the directors. Ligatich notes that a number of creatives working on the film stepped down after the directors shared their first cut of the movie. The exodus of talent after that cut was really indicative of how unhappy a lot of people were that they had changed and destroyed this beautiful work. So they boycotted it internally like a bunch of fannies. Another Pixar source disputes that people stepped down in response to Molina's departure. The changes to Elio were clear to one former Pixar artist who worked on the film and asked to remain anonymous. It was pretty clear through the production of the first version of the film that studio leaders were constantly sanding down these moments in the film that alluded to Elio's sexuality of being queer. Good. Should never have been approved in the first place. Why did you approve it in the first place if you're going to remove it, you pleb? And so basically, there you go. It then releases. It's a complete bomb. And because they had to remove loads of stuff that they had previously approved, it's just this weird, empty, vacuous narrative without any actual reason behind it existing. So it kind of actually is the fault of them removing the queerness. But it's also their fault for even having it there to begin with. So it's a fascinating deep dive behind the curtain of what was once a powerhouse studio. Pixar films, man, were huge. Absolutely massive, mammoth projects. And this film as well, I mean, it's at bare minimum, and it is really bare minimum, is $200 million production budget. I'm saying bare minimum, culture. Bare minimum. So yes, it is bare minimum. $200 million production budget plus $100 million marketing. So that's $300 million. So that's $600 million to break even. But because it's been sat on the shelf for so long, it's been completely reworked multiple times and changed and adjusted. New directors, new voice cast. $200 million is like a piss in a stream compared to what the production budget is highly likely to be. And they opened to $20 million. So
yeah,
I
and
thought
some reports were saying that it was close to 300 million.
Yeah, exactly. It's always best to err on the side of caution with these things because we can be a bit, overzealous with numbers, and you can actually get your point across with a much more digestible number, which is still insane. Even if it was 200 million, still 100 million marketing, $600 million to break even. I mean, they've lost hundreds of millions of dollars, even with the most conservative budget. So there you go. That's it. I just thought this was heavily comical, well worth talking about. Culture, and you want to jump in here? Over to you, buddy. You crack on, mate.
No, I'm just you're stating it. This thing needed to make about $1 billion. It had no prayer of making about $1 million. It had no prayer once it really opened here in the States domestically at, I believe the actual honest line was at 19 million, not 20. But
Or
yeah, it was absolutely a disaster. This is one I called months and months and months ago, and look, everybody knew this was gay. And then they said, no, there's no gay in it. Okay, well, that's just like they did with, a couple of the other releases that they've done recently. I mean, Inside Out 2 had a lot of gay lesbian stuff in it. They pulled out. Pixar infamously had a TV show that was coming out called Win or Lose. They pulled the trans line, the trans storyline out of there from the trans kid that was going to be in the show. Disney is realizing and recognizes that every time they move forward with these story elements in one of their kids' movies, whether it be Light Beer or Strange Worlds, it hurts them badly. And I think that Pete Docter, in the position that he has at Pixar, was not going to let another one of these sneak by him. Because there's no reason to have as many animation studios as Disney has anymore. They only need one. They don't need Disney Animation plus Pixar. There was a good argument for it when you still did some nice hand-drawn stuff from time to time, or you wanted to have a more traditional look. But, once they kicked out Lasseter, I mean, they were always going to be headed more towards computer animation anyway. So there's no real reason to keep the studios separate other than to preserve whatever these special interest groups that are embedded within. And you asked the most important question. Why is there, all these separate little communities inside these studios promoting all these terrible agendas for what are supposed to be family projects? So, I think that those are the most egregious things in the first place, but that what it leads to is material like this. And, in this case, it may have gutted some of the story that would have been in here. Of course, it's not a story suitable for children, but it would have been story.
Yeah.
So
why did they approve it to begin with, though? Like, what weird, what a dumb thing to do. Yeah, we'll just approve this. Yeah, no worries, mate. And then they watch the the fruits come to bear of the script that they approved, and then they're like, oh, this is pretty gay. It's like, yeah, you approved that, you pleb. Like, what are you doing? Why would you approve something that you're inevitably... But this is Disney through and through. They always approve scripts and they always change them. They always cut them down. They always adjust them. They go back and do reshoots. So bizarre. But it's staggering lack of competent executives approving scripts within Disney, because they do it all the time. Like, all the time. It's not just Disney, like Disney as a whole entity, the umbrella of Disney with all of their companies. Bo.
This is funny to me. Scroll down again to about halfway down where there's that picture of Ugly Betty and the other people, the 4 people. Right? Look at the state of that. It says everything you need to know, doesn't it? Just a team of weirdo freaks. Yeah, and you came up with nothing. Talk about like the essential vapidness, hollowness of the sort of the push to try and make little boys feminine. Like, I think it's so funny. It's so funny because, I haven't got kids myself, but I had nieces and nephews, and still grew up around kids in various ways. It's so funny how little boys, not all little boys, but most little boys, like they don't have to be told that they should be into cars and guns and motorbikes and football and right. Most little boys, do you know what I mean? Like, they don't want to be effeminate and gay.
That's inherent in their very being, isn't it?
Right.
It's in their DNA.
The vast majority of little boys want to run around and get mucky and be a little tearaway, right? They don't want pink things. Right, so anyway, I just think it's funny that once again the entire agenda just runs up against reality. Yeah, there's no little boys out there saying, "Mummy, Daddy, please take me to see Elio." I've heard everyone's talking about Elio in the playground, about how cool it's going to be, and everyone's going to see it, and I can't be the only kid that's not going to see Elio. That's not happening, is it? So, yeah, good. I hope it dies. I've got no intention. I won't watch it. Obviously, it's not for me anyway. But
I think it's worse than dead. I think this is
Yeah.
this was stillborn, completely stillborn. Yeah, wasn't even alive to begin with. Unbelievable. Nick, you got anything to throw in?
I would be curious to see how many of the people that went and saw this, because currently it's sitting at, what's it currently? It's worldwide 72 million. Currently. So out of everybody that got tickets and went and saw this, I wonder how many of those people, knowing what they saw, would pay to see it again. Like, was it worth their money? I bet it would probably be that worldwide would be cut in half, because not all parents pay attention to the stuff going on in the news and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of them do, but a lot of them also don't. And they're probably like, oh, look, let's take the kids to the movies. There's a new Pixar film. Because Pixar used to have a reputation of good family-friendly kid films. When John Lasseter was there, now it's like you have to like screen it before you show your kids to it. Same thing with Disney, which Disney is in charge of all this. So this is just more agenda pushing garbage nonsense crap coming out of that studio and out of Disney. And they're going to keep doing stuff like this. I think Inside Out 2 was the last one that did well for them. I think it
was quite a big one, that was.
Yeah, it crossed. If I'm right, I think I'm right. It crossed over 1 billion,
billion.
right? Yeah. So that's one every maybe 5 years they might have a film like that. But it's like what was it? It was Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, the scene where Ben Affleck and they're redoing Good Will Hunting. What's Ben Affleck's buddy's name? Brain fart. Good Will Hunting. What's that actor's name?
I can't remember. I don't know who you're talking about. I can't remember.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. There we go. Yeah, Matt Damon. When they were having a conversation, like you do the money film, then you do the artsy film.
Yeah, I see where you're going.
Basically, it's like that's what they're doing. Like, we'll do like one that we know will be a smash hit, and then we'll do our little rooming session films, and keep pushing that agenda out there. And I think every single time, like, I wonder in the back of their minds if they're sitting there going, we are going to lose so much money on this, but we're doing it anyways. Or if they're really so delusional that they're like, this is going to be a smash hit, people are going to love this. Surely not anybody working on this thing was thinking that. But maybe some really were just delusional and thought this was going to be like some new banger hit film. I'm happy to see it fail and continue to fail. And anytime we get news like this, it's good news for us, anyways, and the whole culture war stuff.
Massively. Anyway, there you go. I just thought this was funny, just a dumb, weird thing. But again, like indicative of Disney as a whole and what they just consistently do. Consistently.
They've turned into a complete joke.
Yeah, hugely. All right, well, let's move on from this.